Hello everyone. Today I shall discuss on the topic structure of mammalian heart and course of blood circulation through it, with special emphasis on human heart. This topic is incorporated in BSc Zoology Honours syllabus. Dear friends, if you like my lecture, please subscribe my channel. Now let me discuss on the structure of mammalian heart. Objectives of today's lecture. At first I will give you introduction on heart, then number 2, structure of mammalian heart, thirdly, course of circulation of blood through the mammalian heart, and finally, discussion on type of circulation in mammalian heart. Now let me discuss on the structure of mammalian heart. Now at first we must have to know what is heart. Heart is the modified blood vessel which regulates the circulation of blood throughout the body. The heart of mammal, including man, is a cone-shaped muscular organ formed by cardiac muscle. It is situated in the anterior part of the thoracic cavity between the two lungs, slightly shifted to the left. The heart is enclosed in a double-fold membranous bag called the pericardium. The space between the two layers of the pericardium is filled with pericardial fluid which protect the heart against external shock or injury. The adult human heart is about 12 cm in length and 9 cm in breadth and weighs about 300 grams. The size of the heart is about the size of a human fist. The anterior surface of the heart faces the sternum. The posterior surface, the base of the heart, faces the vertebral column, and the inferior surface, the apex, rests on the diaphragm. Diaphragm is a muscular partition which separates the pleural cavity with the visceral cavity. From the diagram, you see the structure of the heart. So this lower part rests on the diaphragm. Now, the structure of mammalian heart was first described by William Harvey in 1628. Mammalian heart, including human heart, is four-chambered organ with two auricles left and right and two ventricles left and right. So you see here is the right auricle, right ventricle, left auricle and left ventricle. So there are four chambers and these chambers are completely separated from each other. The right auricle and left auricle are separated by a partition called auricular aperture, and left ventricle and right ventricle are separated by interventricular septum. Similarly, right and left auricles are separated by interauricular septum. So the two auricles, right and left, are separated by interauricular. Similarly, two ventricles. The three main veins. You see here three main veins: superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and another vein originating from the aorta. From this aorta carries blood and supply to the right auricle. So these three main veins originated and carries blood from different parts of the body. The superior vena cava carries blood from the anterior part of the body. The inferior vena cava carries blood from the posterior part of the body, and the coronary sinus carries blood from the heart muscle itself. All these three main veins opens into the right auricle. So there is an aperture between the right auricle and right ventricle, and is called auriculoventricular aperture. You see here, this is auriculoventricular aperture guarded by tricuspid valve. Similarly, there is an aperture between the left auricle and left ventricle, and is also called auriculoventricular aperture, guarded by bicuspid valve or mitral valve. The tricuspid and bicuspid valves are held rigidly in place by chorda tendini. Now let me discuss on the circulation of blood through the mammalian heart. The circulation of blood through the mammalian heart was first described by William Harvey in 1628. The heart is the central pumping organ of mammalian body, including human being. It regulates the circulation of blood throughout the body by way of rhythmic contraction and relaxation, that is systole and diastole. So blood from different parts of the body is collected by three main veins, as I have already mentioned in the structure of the structural part. There is superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and coronary sinus. The superior vena cava collect blood from anterior part of the body, that is upper part or head region. The inferior vena cava collect blood from the posterior part of the body, the lower part, and the coronary sinus collect blood from the heart muscle. So this is head and upper extremity. The blood from this part is collected by superior vena cava. This is inferior vena cava. It collects blood from the lower extremity of the body, and from here there originate coronary sinus, which collect blood and opens into the right atrium. So all these three main veins open directly into the right atrium or right auricle, where it drains the collected blood, that is deoxygenated blood. The deoxygenated blood from the right atrium or right auricle then passes into the right ventricle through auriculoventricular aperture guarded by tricuspid valve. Here is tricuspid valve. This is right auricle and this is right ventricle. Then the blood from the right ventricle is conveyed or pumped into the lungs through pulmonary artery for aeration, where oxygenation or purification usually takes place. After aeration of the blood in the lungs, the aerated blood from the lungs is returned back to the left auricle of the heart through pulmonary vein. You see, through pulmonary vein and opens into the left auricle. Then blood from the left auricle moves into the left ventricle through auriculoventricular aperture guarded by bicuspid valve or mitral valve. The aerated blood from the left auricle is then conveyed into the left ventricle through left auricular ventricular guarded by bicuspid valve. The function of the valve is to prevent the backflow of blood into the auricle from the ventricle. So the oxygenated blood from the left ventricle is supplied to different parts of the body, that is cells and tissue, through common aorta, where again deoxygenation of blood takes place, and this deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body is again collected by three main veins: superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and coronary sinus from the heart muscle. The process described above is repeated. The process described here regarding circulation of blood through the heart include systemic and pulmonary circulation. Separately, I will discuss on coronary circulation. This is a sketch. You see how superior vena cava collect blood from upper part, how inferior vena cava collect from the lower part, and how coronary sinus collect blood from the heart muscle. All these three main veins opens directly into the right atrium. This deoxygenated blood from the right atrium moves into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood moves into the lungs through pulmonary artery, where deoxygenated blood gets oxygenated. This oxygenated blood then returns to the heart and drains into the left auricle through pulmonary vein. From the left auricle, blood moves into the left ventricle through auriculoventricular aperture guarded by bicuspid valve. This oxygenated blood from the left ventricle is carried by a common aorta and supplied to cells and tissues of the body. And here again deoxygenation usually takes place, and these bloods are again collected by those three main veins. And this is how circulation of blood usually takes place. See, here, as I have discussed here, two circuits are operating. One is pulmonary circulation and another is systemic circulation. Now, pulmonary circulation, you see, from the right ventricle, blood is conveyed to the lungs through pulmonary artery. And in the lungs, after aeration of the blood returns to the left auricle through pulmonary vein. This constitutes pulmonary circulation or pulmonary circuit. Another is systemic circulation or systemic circuit. So, as you see, from the left ventricle, as we have observed, that oxygenated blood moves through the aorta and supplied to the cells and tissues, where deoxygenation usually takes place, and these bloods are collected by superior and inferior vena cava and returns to the right auricle. From the right auricle, the deoxygenated blood returns or moves into the right ventricle through right auriculoventricular aperture. And again, from right ventricle, that pulmonary circuit. So, one thing we have observed here is, as we know, usually vein carries impure blood and artery carries pure blood, but here it is reverse. Pulmonary artery carries impure blood and pulmonary vein carries pure blood. So, this is an exception to the artery and vein. So, finally, let me discuss about coronary circulation. Deoxygenated blood is returned to the chambers of the heart. That is, which chamber? To the right auricle via coronary sinus. Most of this converts to form the coronary venous sinus, which drains into the right atrium. Two main coronary arteries, right and left, branches off from the or originate from the aorta near the point where the aorta and left ventricle meet. These arteries and their branches supply all the parts of the heart muscle with oxygenated blood. So, this oxygenated blood is carried from the aorta and supplied to the heart muscles. And after functioning of the heart, the blood gets deoxygenated. And this deoxygenated blood returns to the right auricle through coronary sinus. So this constitutes the coronary circulation. Finally, it has been observed that 3 types of circulation is operating in the circulation of blood through the heart of mammal. That is systemic circulation, pulmonary circulation, and coronary circulation. So thank you all for your patient hearing. I hope you have acquainted with the structure of heart and course of circulation of blood through it. Thank you all.